Welcome back to Banging the Can, the Houston sports podcast that does not apologize for championship rings and tings, presented by Bolen Media. I am your host, Ross Bolen, and our Houston Astros swept the Seattle Mariners in the ALCS so quickly that I didn't even get another podcast off before the series was over. And without Verlander or Altuve even getting off the couch. I kind of figured if they didn't have to show up and we were still not going to lose a game, then I didn't need to do another podcast for that series. Be better next time, Mariners. Be worth 2 podcasts. Anyway, Altuve did make a few solid defensive plays for what it's worth, but did literally nothing with his bat, and yet we still got out the brooms. It's just wild. Acknowledging that we are that type of team right now with so much talent that a couple of your top dogs can let you down big time, and yet you're still competitive. I agree with John McClain, the general. You extend Dusty Baker and James Click after this season. I don't know how you can look at this roster and the way that it has been managed and not want more of the same. You got to get it done, Mr. Crane. Obviously, a legendary and historic ALCS for Yordan Alvarez, who now looks like one of the greatest contracts in the history of Houston sports, and, in fairness, could end up being one of the greatest Astros players of all time if he keeps this shit up. I mean, what a fucking monster this dude is. I still cannot believe they pitched to him in Game 2. I still can't believe it. They obviously learned their lesson after that one. Fool me one time, shame on me. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. Famous George W. Bush quote. But yeah, the third time was the charm for them. They decided no more of this shit. Started intentionally walking him, and it was a beautiful thing to see. The Mariners manager holding up that 4. Yeah, throw 4 balls. Just 4 balls, please. Nothing more, nothing less. Do not put anything over the plate for this psychopath. I mean, he's murdering the ball right now. And it was only a matter of time before he started getting that, like, Barry Bonds treatment, which is, you've got to remember, like, if you're a casual baseball fan and you're just tuning in for the postseason, like, that is a fairly, people get intentionally walked in the regular season. It happens. It really doesn't happen that often in the postseason unless you're dealing with somebody that's so hot that you're not willing to deal with the potential consequences of having a baseball that they can even get the bat on. Doesn't happen that often. You're talking about postseason baseball, the cream of the crop. Usually, the best pitching in the game is involved in the postseason, and it's difficult to hit these guys. So if they're refusing to pitch to you, you're in a different zone, and that's where Alvarez is at right now. And it's really, really fun. Here's the thing, though. Now that he's in this place, it's like, shit. I want to see him hit. Like, remember when they started walking Bonds intentionally? And not to keep comparing the two because that's ridiculous, utterly insane right now, in fact. But it was such a bummer because you wanted to see Barry hit bombs. That's what you were there for. And then they're throwing him 4 balls intentionally. It was just like, what a fucking buzzkill this is. Let him murder you. Let him end your game and career. And, of course, strategically, you have to do what you have to do. But I hope they don't. I hope the Yankees pitch to Alvarez is what I'm saying. But we know they'll pitch to Altuve. That's for damn sure. One hell of a slump he's in. And it's not like we haven't seen that before. It happens. It happens. Even to the best of the best. And he is one of the best hitters in the history of baseball and in the history of the postseason. So I'm not worried about the guy. I'm very thankful that we finished off the Mariners quickly so that Jose has some time to rest at home and consider the upcoming series and sort of reset because he needs it. But I'm not worried about him. I mean, it's once somebody has proven themselves time and time again, even when he has a hard time, like How many games has Jose Altuve made an error on the defensive side of the ball and then come out and hit a home run? It has happened a lot of times. He's one of those dudes that like makes sure he makes up for his bad play, and that was a bad series. So I kind of feel good that he got that out of the way. Now it's like make up for it, bring that law of averages into play and slaughter the baseball. Kill some Yankees. Let's do this shit. On our resident sportsbook, MyBookie.ag, the Astros are currently minus 172 for Verlander's Game 1. The over-under is 7 for Game 1. The under currently carrying more juice. Today's episode is brought to you by MyBookie, the sportsbook every can banger should be using to stack cash during this Astros postseason run, the Rockets regular season, and Texans too. It's easy to bet on the Astros, though, frankly, and getting Verlander at sub-200 juice is always a treat, so I'm taking the Astros tonight and the over 7. I know unders have been hitting. I don't care. I'm taking the over tonight. I just have a feeling, so I'm on the minus 170 Astros and minus 172, as it were, and the over 7 runs tonight. Get all your sports betting done at mybookie.com. Use the code ROSS when you sign up for a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. That means if you put in $500 to play with and use code ROSS when you deposit, MyBookie will match that $500 with another $500, so you have $1,000 to throw down on the Astros versus the Yankees. Go to MyBookie. Sign up using code ROSS. Unlock that double deposit bonus up to $1,000. Stipulations apply. This weekend, by the way, Charles Oliveira and Islam Malkovic, I can't even say his name, highlight the main event at UFC 280, and it could be the biggest PPV of the year. Sterling, Dillashaw, Yan, and O'Malley, whether you're a diehard or a casual UFC fan, every punch that lands could be another win at MyBookie. Myself, you can tell I'm a casual, but I love some UFC. It is very fun to watch, even more fun when you bet on it, obviously. And for a limited time only, join the MyBookie family, and you will double your first deposit instantly. Just use code ROSS when you sign up to claim your bonus. But act fast, because this is the last time you will be able to grab this deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Just use code ROSS. You can predict individual matchups for UFC, bet on fights to go the distance, or lock in prop bets like X Fighter to score a knockout, all for a chance at a bigger payout. No sport is fun to bet on as MMA. No sportsbook gives you more ways to bet than MyBookie. Code ROSS. Double your deposit bonus. Get in there today. MyBookie.ag. So, the Yankees were taken to 5 games by the Cleveland Guardians. And then rain delayed twice before they could get to Game 5. So they played literally yesterday. And then last night had to fly to Houston for today's game. And I don't really have much else to say about the Yankees. I fucking hate them, obviously, and their stupid fucking fans. Look, the Yankees, we kind of entered the same stratosphere as them as far as, like, there are some sports teams that if you're not a fan of them, you hate them, right? It's like, I'm not the Mets. Let's take the New York Mets. I'm not a Mets fan, but I don't care one way or the other. I don't really have a feeling about the New York Mets like I do with the New York Yankees, which immediately, when I think about the Yankees, I become disgusted and want to fight someone. So it's not quite the same. You know what I mean? Like, the Yankees are one of those teams you love to hate, and we're kind of one of those teams now too, the Astros, after the 2017 controversy that birthed the name of this podcast. And it kind of has made it into this rivalry that otherwise we wouldn't really look. I don't know that the Yankees, like, I know their fan base is delusional. They're like Cowboys fans, right? Like, they won a whole bunch of shit before the internet even fucking existed, and they're still living on that shit. And nobody cares, right? Like, we don't care how many rings and how many pennants and how many back in the fucking 40s or whatever. Like, we just don't care. And now I feel like as a result of the controversy of 2017 and getting our first ring, but more so because of the controversy, because of how hated we are league-wide in every other stadium, I think the Yankees sort of see us as a rivalry a little bit too. Which is, I guess that's a cool thing. I guess, I don't know. It's just a weird place to be, like one of these hated teams in sports. As I've said many, many times, you kind of have to lean into it. And I appreciate that about Yankees fans. It's not that I don't. They make for a great villain, But in their case, it's more because of like they're just so fucking ignorant. They're just so stupid. You know what I mean? It's just a total and utter lack of IQ that makes it impossible to enjoy talking about baseball with these people because they're buffoons, much like Cowboys fans. They're just fucking stupid. Just the stupidest sports fans you've ever talked to in your entire life. They expect to win the World Series and the Super Bowl every year, these two fan bases, and they overlap a lot of the times, which doesn't make fucking sense because the Cowboys are in goddamn Dallas and the Yankees are in New York. That doesn't, like, if you're a fan of both, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're everything that's wrong with America in 2022. You, Dallas Cowboys / Yankees fan. But the Yankees fans are despicable people. They're just ridiculous. They're clownish, and it makes for a very, very fun series. For that reason, I'm obviously happy that they got past the Guardians. But, God, yeah, I was rooting for the Guardians. I was rooting for Cleveland to send them back home crying early, a la LA Dodgers. But I'm extremely glad they advanced, so we have the chance to be the ones to taste those sweet Yankee tears ourselves. It's still fuck the Yankees forever. And I can't wait to see who my new least favorite douchebag Yankee is now that Aroldis Chapman's wife-beating ass or woman-beating ass didn't make the postseason roster because he didn't care to show up. That's the thing I'm most looking forward to. Who is my new most hated Yankee? Because he's not there. And it's not Judge. If you're like, oh, Aaron Judge. No, look, Judge is likable. I like Aaron Judge. I do like it. I like Aaron Judge. Here, that's one thing. If you need look no further than Aaron Judge to see how stupid the Yankees fan base is. They were booing the dude who just broke the American League home run record, who had a historic home run hitting season, offensive season. They were booing him because he struck out 4 times in a game, which is like, it's the equivalent of if we booed Altuve at home. He would have to strike out 400 fucking consecutive times. I mean, probably, look, if I had to guess, if Altuve struck out 20 consecutive times, I think we would start to boo. But it would take a good 20 piece. They were booing Judge after 4. He just broke. The American League home run record wasn't good enough. These people are assholes. They're simply assholes. And that's fine. They make for a good villain, like I said. And I'm happy to taste their tears. They're the tears of the asshole. That doesn't phrasing. The tears of the asshole taste better. Oh, didn't think I'd ever say that sentence. But enough about the Yankees. Let's talk about us. Look, there's no getting around the fact that Verlander looked like dog shit in Game 1 against the Guardians. That was... Yeah, I mean, not the Guardians. The fucking who did we just like? The tears of the asshole threw me off so much. The Mariners. He looked bad. That was not what we wanted, and he can't. Like I said after that game, you don't worry about a guy like Verlander because it's Verlander, but also we are in this place where, look, it's not like he's James Harden and he's never won a ring, so you really have to question if he's that guy. But it is becoming a bit of a pattern where you're like, oh, he doesn't really have the same magic. He doesn't have the same magic in the postseason. He hasn't. And I'm hoping that he'll tell me to shut up and put my foot in my mouth this evening and prove otherwise, because he's too great. He's too much of an all-time great. I just knocked Berkman, the bobblehead's bat out of his hand because I'm getting so worked up here. He's too great of a player, too great of a pitcher to kind of have this wishy-washy postseason record, which I think is something people will talk about more and more if he gets lit up by the Yankees tonight. Because it looked like, look, it's not like he came out and missed his spots a couple times. It looked like batting practice, man. That's not good. That means every fucking hitter is making solid contact into the gap, no less. Like, it was really, really, really disturbing. So, need him, have to have him. I think it's essential that we don't have. We don't want to put our offense in that position again, because the Yankees, they don't have our pitching staff, but they got a couple guys that can sling the rock, and it's going to be a tough series. We know it's going to be a tough series, right? Like in all likelihood, it will be a challenging series. We probably need Jose Altuve to show up to this series, right? I don't think we can afford to just have those two dudes provide nothing, contribute absolutely zero again. That it can't happen. And Correa kind of felt like Carlos Correa, shouts to him. He's been doing a great job, by the way. I think it's on the TBS post-game show that he's been on there co-hosting or whatever. And he's definitely going to make another $100 million doing commentating after the fact if he wants to. By the way, made himself a free agent again, so he's going to test the market. But he was kind of our Yankee killer in some ways. He had that over-the-top swagger and charisma to combat the stupid fucking pinstripes that the clowns don. Because the Yankees are one of those teams, their uniforms sort of command respect from a historical standpoint. They do. I will give them that. They do. And as a baseball player, you have to admit that. It was something about it, like even in Little League, man, when you know the Little Leagues would license out the different Major League Baseball teams so every team would get one. It was kind of like random. You'd end up being like on the Cleveland. Well, they weren't the Guardians then, but you know what they were. The Cleveland team 1 year, and it didn't really make sense because we were in Houston and we were all Astros fans, but it was what it was. But when you'd play against a team that was the Yankees, it was a little more terrifying. They were a little more intimidating. It was something about it, something about their branding, right? That was scary. And back when I was a kid, they were still good, right? That was a really long time ago. I'm a grown man. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not. I'm 35. But I'm just saying, I've been here for a minute. That was 20 fucking years ago, man. They haven't done anything in a while. They're pathetic losers, is what I'm saying. So. It's something about their the Yankees uniforms though. You kind of it's another thing. It's this something comes with playing the Yankees. It's this whole other aura, right? Like playing the Celtics in Boston. There's something fucked up about that place and those people, and it brings some type of dark magic that you have to combat. And the Yankees sort of have that same sort of shit going, especially when you play in New York. And Correa was our dude that sort of combated that. So I'm curious to see who's going to step up and be that dude on this team now. Will it be Jeremy Pena? I mean, that feels too obvious. I think it's so. He's already filled Correa's shoes in so many ways. It's amazing how good he's been through one season of play. Unfucking believable in the playoffs. He crushed the Mariners. He crushed. So impressive for a rookie batting in that spot on top of playing very solid shortstop. Again, extend James Click and Dusty Baker because it's. More, please. There's just the thing with this series, there's so much firepower on both of these teams offensively, really defensively too. Their pitching staff isn't what ours is, but I feel like it is going to come down to pitching. And I know that's so stupid and cliche to say about the postseason. Like obviously it's going to come down to pitching, but I mean, who has their stuff, right? And this is the thing about the postseason that is such a toss-up, a coin flip. Your pitching staff, it's not like every guy has their best stuff every game, and that's what makes legendary postseason pitchers. The dudes who can get up for the postseason, I mean, that's the most challenging thing to do. But the playoffs tend to be a little more random. I heard him use an analogy on one of the Major League Baseball TV shows last night, saying that this is when the hobbits step up. It's not the guys you would think. It's the hobbits that come through and have their big moments, right? And I mean that I agree with that to some extent. But in a series like this where there's an overwhelming amount of all-star talent on both rosters, it really does just simply come down to the pit, like which pitchers are going to have their stuff, which pitching staff is going to wilt when the pressure is on, which one is going to thrive. And I mean, in the Mariners series, it was ours that thrived while theirs wilted when we had that ridiculous bullpen game. I mean, dude, look, come on, man. We've got like 7 fucking starters for him to pick. It's insanity. It's got to be one of the best pitching rosters ever assembled. And it's not really like obvious on paper. If you're just a casual and you looked at the Astros pitching lineup, you'd be like, I don't know, these Colors is always injured, Verlander's old. If you haven't been paying attention, if you've been paying attention, you're like, holy shit. I mean, he really does have an absurd number of people to pick from. that you trust. And there's a couple guys that are shaky. I know people are shaky on Presley. Oh, he always lets a guy on. Who the fuck cares? It's part of his process. He needs a base runner to get the pressure on. My dad's always bitching about Ryan. Oh, God, Presley's always got to walk one guy. Yeah, so did I, though. I mean, I know it's high school, but, like, I kind of get that is what I'm saying. The mentality, like, he thrives in chaos. I'm that kind of person, too. I enjoy that shit. It's kind of, like, my life has always been so chaotic that that's where I feel most at home, and I think he feels better with a runner on base. I mean, at some point, you get kind of used to it. You start to feel like that pressure becomes your little, like your little parrot on your shoulder if you were a pirate. I don't know how this came to pirating. This has nothing to do with pirates, but the point is, I feel pretty good with where we are sitting. I feel really good. I feel hesitant to admit how good I feel. And the Yankees have been in this nightmare of a schedule situation with the Guardians while our boys have been at home resting, eating good, sleeping good. So I'm hoping that gave Altuve time to turn his head around and Verlander time to pull his head out of his ample ass that we've all seen in those Kate Upton mirror selfies. So my realistically, my prediction is Astros in 6. Okay? But, and this is a much more overwhelming feeling than it normally is. My psychotic homer prediction is Astros in 4. Because fuck the Yankees. And I legitimately think we could sweep the series, right? It's not like we can't. And I think the odds will be really good. I'm not betting it because it's silly, but my psychotic homer fan inside of me is like, we could do it, man. 4 games, fuck the Yankees. We could take all 4. And I know we could. But I don't think I think they get 1. You know what I mean? Gentlemen's sweep. Gentlemen's sweep. Let's just gentlemanly sweep their asses to the side and head back to the October Classic. I guess it's in November. Some of the games are in November. The October and November Classic. I'm excited though, man. This is like, look, we sucked ass for so long there for that period. It was like, during the rebuild, the really worst years of it where we were the worst team in baseball, losing over 100 games. I literally had to tune out. It was too much. It's like watching I don't know. I don't even have an analogy for that yet. It'd be like watching your kid take loss after loss after loss. Like at some point, you just kind of gotta look away. You gotta look away, I think, and let him, comfort him after the fact or whatever, but be a good parent. But my point is, I couldn't watch. All right, and it's odd to now be in a position where being in having an opportunity to advance to the World Series is our new normal. Like that's our new normal. Like we have been to this series 6 consecutive times. It's insanity. The team is. I mean, it makes me. It's obviously a point of pride to be an Astros fan because the team has so much success and they're good guys, scandal or no scandal, all the bullshit from 2017. Part of the reason I think it rubs us as fans so much the wrong way is because we know the team, we know these guys, and we know how good they are, and in terms of their morals and their leadership and what they do for the city and their philanthropy and I mean, come on, man, they're really good. If you look into any one of these guys, especially the leadership, Bregman, Lance McCullers Jr., LMJ, these guys do an insane amount of stuff for the community, and it's for that reason that it's like it's not in the way that they're like, oh, they're doing this stuff to write off that stuff. No, it's stuff they were doing long before the 2017 bullshit, and it's stuff that I can tell just from paying enough attention to them and their interviews and the things they say on social media and their, when you do what I do for long enough, you can see through the bullshit, right? You can tell when somebody's working the media, just putting on this fake persona, saying the typical bullshit quotes. Yeah, I'm just going to play out there for my team, do blah, blah, blah. Or somebody's personally really answering the question, being thoughtful and revealing and putting in the work to connect with the fan base. And we have a lot of guys who do that. And it's rare to build a team this good that's also this likable. And it's a shame that nobody else gets to appreciate it because they're all hung up on this bullshit with the trash cans, which is why you have to harness it. That's why it's the only option. You got to harness the hate and turn it back against them. And we're going to have plenty of that this series with these rabid New Yorkers. God, I can't wait. I'm really, really stoked. I'm very, very excited. Here's a piece of it's not unfortunate, all right? It's not. Here's the thing. There are moments where sports make me feel like an asshole, and I'm experiencing one of them right now because I've got family photos tonight, like maternity photos from my very pregnant wife with me and our daughter and tonight at 6 p.m. right before the game, and I know I'm going to be like rushing us through them and trying to get home to watch the game, and that makes me an asshole, and I get it, but like there's something wrong with me, like moral fiber-wise then, because when I look inside my soul, I'm like, yeah, but it's still reasonable for you to like push the family, like let's get these done. 30 minutes is enough time for these photos, right? How long do you need to take these photos? We're not professional models. Just like click, 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 and let's get the fuck out of here and go Astros, right? And I know I'm an asshole and I get it, but I also I can't undo the wiring that makes me this way is what I'm saying. Like I'm sitting here and I know in my mind, in my heart of hearts, like it's wrong that I'm even talking about this. You should shut up and move on. Your wife's probably listening and she's going to be angry now. What are you doing? You're self-destructing. But I can't stop. You know? It's that kind of thing. So I'm going to be watching the game on my phone in the car in all likelihood is what I'm saying, and I'm a little upset about that. Thank you for allowing me this event session here at the end of today's show. Hit bolenmedia.com/shop. Get yourself a Banging the Can t-shirt or hat. Tag us on all your social media at Banging the Can, especially if you're at the game. Tell your friends and family about the show. Follow us everywhere, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at Banging the Can. I am Ross Bolen. I'll be back after game 2. Seriously, this time. I will be back Friday after game 2. Go Astros. And as always, H-Town, stay down.